What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hangout spot where you already know it's real talk, boxing talk, live from my man cave. It's your boy Johnny, and I'm your host for another edition of the Hangout Spot Live. This time it's the Thursday night edition, and if you guys rocked out with us the last two nights, man, we did two shows with two fabulous guests. On Tuesday, we had 140-pound, undefeated, sensational fighter Ernesto Tito Mercado, who's not only explosive in the ring, but if you saw the interview, he is actually explosive or just as explosive outside of the ring as well. That was a really, really fun interview. And then yesterday, we did an extra show. As you guys know, we usually rock out, every Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I had a special guest that I had to squeeze in there on Wednesday, and it was another sensational interview. We had undefeated middleweight prospect who fights out of Most Valuable Promotions, Jake Paul promotion, Alexis Chop Chop Chaparro, who is 3-0 with 3 knockouts. He's also managed by the great Amanda Serrano. We had a great conversation, a great interview. So for those of you that rocked out with me on Tuesday, that rocked out with me yesterday, I appreciate it. But if you did not have a chance to be with us live, make sure you check out the recordings at the Hangout spot, man. You're not going to regret it, man. 2 excellent interviews. And tonight, we got another banger for you, man, because we're going to preview Saturday night's fights. And it's a much anticipated light heavyweight battle between David Benavidez and David Morrell. It's a fight that was in the making at 168. These guys were on a collision course to fight at 168 for the last couple of years. And finally, they're going to get it on at light heavyweight, man. It is for 2 interim titles, I believe. I believe David Benavidez has the WBC version of the interim 175-pound title, and David Morrell has the WBA version. So they're going to unify interim belts. Don't know what that means. I don't know if we've ever seen it before, but at the end of the day, I think we're in for an explosive matchup. But thanks for joining me. Thanks for rocking out. You know the deal, man. You know the deal. There are ground rules at the Hangout Spot Live. If you're watching this live on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button, man, because we're trying to get this channel out to the algorithm of other boxing fans so that they know that we are rocking out every Tuesdays, Thursdays, sometimes even the third day, like this week, man, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you have not subscribed to the Hangout Spot, make sure you subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. In 2025, we got to raise this subscriber count up so that we can get that street credibility and try to get these better and better big name interviews. And last but not least, man, last Thursday, the chat came out. Last Thursday, I was solo dolo. Today, I will be solo dolo, Scarface, no Manolo. So I expect my chat to come out, man. Come out. Voice your opinions, man. We got a lot of banging fights that we're going to go over and preview. So I definitely want all of you guys to get involved. But at the end of the day, we got Eddie Alvarez in the building. What's going on, champ, man? Thank you for rocking out, man. I hope you're as excited as I am about Saturday's fights, man. We got my brother, Jay Calderon, Fight Hook News. He's checking in. You got it, brother. Checking in on all the great fights Saturday night. I expect to hear you live, man. I want to hear you. I want to hear you comment. I want to hear you get involved in this chat, man, because you got a lot of good opinions on these fights and how they're going to break down, man. So I definitely don't want to do this by myself. Eddie Alvarez, the other Chop Chop, RGBA, one of my favorite prospects. That's right. I believe you're talking about Gonzalez, right? Chop Chop Gonzalez. If so, man, you ain't kidding, man. He's he's another big up and coming prospect, man. A lot of respect to him, a lot of talent there. And my man, Pristine Sports Network from the Boxing Voice, I appreciate you checking out with me, brother. We are here. We are doing it up. And yes, man, we got the fights. The fights are coming up Saturday, baby.
Let the games begin.
And we're ready. We're ready. We're ready to rock out because this is a much anticipated fight that I've been waiting for. Like I said, I wanted to see this fight when these two guys were at 168. But this is the lineup, man. This is the lineup that we're going to see on Saturday. This is going to be on PBC pay-per-view, and it's going to be streamed, obviously, on Prime Video. The main event, David Benavidez, undefeated, 29-0 with 24 knockouts. He's going up against David Morrell, Cuban David Morrell, 11-0 with 9 KOs, but he has a very extensive amateur background. But I think experience is going to play a big part in that, and we'll get into that when we break it down. But look at this other lineup of fights, man. I mean, I'm excited about it. You know what I mean? Like you got a co-main event that is possible, that is about 2 or 3 years in the making. I know that the true fight hardcore fans wanted to see this rematch like literally immediately after it happened. We had to wait a couple of years. Obviously, both these guys are two different fighters now, but they produced, a fight of the year candidate, that first time around. Brandon Figueroa, the Heartbreak Kid, against Steven Scooter Fulton. He used to be Cool Boy Steph. I love the nickname Cool Boy Steph, so I still call him Cool Boy Steph. But Steven Scooter Fulton, this is the rematch, and this fight's going to be taking place at featherweight. The other fight was at a lower weight class. This one's going to be taking place at featherweight, and it's going to be for Figueroa's WBC featherweight title. And like I said, man, the first fight produced fireworks. Both of these guys fought phone boot style. And that's the type of style Brandon Figueroa brings to the table, man. So, anytime that you see any of his fights, it's going to be an exciting fight. And then you also have a Mexico against Mexico matchup between Isaac Pitbull Cruz, Angel Fierro. There's not much to say about that, man. You know the deal, man. If you are a fight fan, you know that Mexico against Mexico is going to produce fireworks. I don't expect this fight to be any different. And then opening up the pay-per-view card, you got Jesus Ramos, who is formerly from the 154-pound division. This one's going to be at 160. He's actually moving up for this one, and he's going to be facing former unified champion Jeison Rosario from the Dominican Republic. He is trained by my man Bob Sanders, the great coach, 2022 Coach of the Year, Bob Sanders. And I think that's going to be a good fight as well, a good competitive fight that we'll get into in a second. But we got my man Wax, man. My man Wax, who's always rocking out with me in the building, bro. Welcome aboard. And yes, Eddie, that's the guy, Chop Gonzalez. Yep, absolutely, man. He is he's going to be fun to watch, man. There's a lot of potential there, man. There's a lot of potential. Eddie says my heart wants Morrell, but my brain says Benavidez. Hold on that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. But before we get to that, man, hopefully everybody got a chance to watch the presser today. So today was the press conference. Tomorrow, obviously, will be the weigh-in, and then obviously you got the fight on Saturday. But today's press conference, man, it got saucy, man. It got spicy, man. And it was like, see, these are the type of press conferences that I like to see, man, because I hate when two guys are cordial. I mean, I get the whole respect deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, we know that you're going to respect your opponent, but that doesn't mean that you got to like your opponent. Like, you got two guys in a fight, or females, that literally are going into competition to try to knock each other's heads off. So there should be a little bit of hostility, man. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for saying that? Because a lot of people will say, well, it's okay, right? Two guys can respect each other. But nah, man, I want to see guys get saucy. I want to see guys curse at each other, man. Maybe a push, a shove. Who cares? Obviously, I don't want it to go above and beyond, to run the risk of a fight getting canceled. But anytime there's true hostility towards two fighters, I think it makes for an even better fight. Definitely a big buildup, right? Because there are a lot of people that are complaining about this fight being on pay-per-view. They like the fight. A lot of people like the fight, but they don't want to see it on pay-per-view. They prefer to see it either free or cheaper. This one is not going to be cheap. Like, you're going to have to be a true hardcore fan, a boxing supporter, to want to pay for this one. This one's $90. And for me personally, like I said, I'm hardcore. I think it's worth it. I think the undercard is worth it. But, there's a lot of people that are going to fire stick it. You know what I'm saying? Like my man Two Tone says from the Boxing Voice, the fire stick boys are coming out. But nah, man, listen, I think this fight, regardless what people think about it, it's going to produce fireworks. You got two guys that literally hate each other. I mean, today, it was crazy, though. It wasn't just David Benavidez and David Morrell that were going at it, yo. If you saw the presser, and if you haven't seen it, man, make sure you check it out, man. It's on YouTube all over the place. You had David Morrell's promoter, man, Louis DeCubas, that got up to speak on the podium, and shit got saucy, man. Like, I've never seen Louis DeCubas go at it with another fighter. I mean, he was literally going back and forth with David Benavidez. He's standing over David Benavidez. I was like, yo, like, what is going on, man? What is going on? But he's sitting there. I mean, he's standing there. He's got his face in his finger and David Benavidez's face. They're cursing. They're going back and forth. There's stuff being said about him taking David Benavidez said that he's taking all of David Morrell's pay. I mean, there was just a bunch of crap that was going on, like verbal crap that was going on between Louis DeCubas and David Benavidez. And of course, David Benavidez and David Morrell, they just went back and forth. I mean, half the things that David Morrell says though in Spanish, I don't understand. He speaks that really, really fast Cuban style Spanish, man. And I can't really rock with it or vibe with it, especially again when they're two arguing, when they're going arguing back and forth and he's speaking all fast. But at the end of the day, if you read between the lines, these two guys hate each other and they want to knock each other's heads off. David Benavidez has made it clear that he wants to stop David Morrell. David Morrell has made it clear that he's not afraid of David Benavidez, that he feels like most people that he's fought in the past have usually been afraid of them. He's been bigger than them, more intimidating, but he said he's not afraid. And he's going in there to stop David Benavidez. So that to me is what makes for a good fight, a good hardcore scrap. I'm old school, man. I like to see that stuff. Like I said, man, stop with that nice shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just fight. If you want to show each other respect after the fight, absolutely, man. I mean, you got two guys, obviously, that are going in there to compete. If all goes well, regardless of who wins, they should, show each other respect, hug it out. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they're two guys that are in the ring making money. They've made, good money together. So, you can show that respectful energy after that. But before the fight, nah, man, it should be fire. And I can't wait for the weigh-in tomorrow, because that's going to be even more crazy, because that's when you're going to get that last face-to-face, the last time both these guys see each other. You know the deal, man. If you ever speak to a boxer or you've been in a training camp or whatever, like usually the weigh-in day is the day that they're like ready to just let it out, right? You know what I'm saying? They went through a rigorous training camp, the dieting stuff, the last week, trying to lose those extra pounds. These fighters are not in a good mood, at the time of the weigh-in. So that's when you see the true emotions, before they actually get in there. And that's the last time they see each other before they see each other in the ring. So I can't wait for the weigh-in tomorrow, man. It's gonna be fire, man. It's gonna be fire. We got Heavy Chevy Guy, my brother. Thank you for rocking out, man. Gun to your head. Who wins, David versus David? We're gonna get to that in just a second, man. So stand by. And I also want everybody else to chime in, as we progress through these fights. Yep, that's right. Jay Calderon, Bob Santos, he's my guy, man. He is my guy. Pristine Sports Network is in the building.
Epic fail.
Is in the building. My bad. That's the one that I actually wanted to press, leaning towards David Benavidez with the stoppage. All right. Pristine Sports Network. Absolutely. We outside. Fire stick boys outside. I hear that, brother. I hear that. Wasted energy, fighting angry. I like my fighters cool-headed. No, I hear you. There has to be a controlled aggression. It can't be reckless, but it has to seem real. There has to be some sort of hostility, at least for me, man. I just think, you know what I'm saying? I just think it gets me a little bit more fired up for fights, especially when they're literally 48 hours away. You know what I mean? Donald Curry didn't fight angry. Nah, it's not a good idea to fight angry. But it's, to me, to show that aggression before the fight, is never a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? But let's get right into it, man. Let's get right into it. Let's start with the opener, man. We got Jesus Ramos against Jeison Rosario, and Jeison Rosario is an interesting story, man, because he is a former unified champion, and his last performance at Pro Box was against Jarrett Swift Hurd, another former champion, at 154, and that was a good scrap, man. And a lot of people didn't really pick Jeison Rosario to win that fight. It ended in a majority draw, but a lot of people thought after that he should have won that fight, including Bob Santos. Me and Bob Santos spoke at length after that fight. He was upset because Jeison Rosario is a guy that was out of boxing for a couple of years and pretty much a forgotten guy. And he said that, he came to him, he wanted one last chance, one last opportunity. And Bob Santos took him in and said that since he took him in before that camp, like he was so focused and so motivated to get back to, championship contention, that he was so impressed. That he was so impressed. And then he was even more impressed with this performance. Like I said, I mean, Jarrett Swift Hurd, a former champion, and it was a good fight. It was a good scrap. It was at Pro Box. I was there live and direct, so I got a chance to speak to both fighters afterwards. But good for Jeison, man. Even though that was a draw, I think a lot of people, like I said, thought that he had won that fight. He's getting another opportunity, right? On a big platform. Like, this is not for a title, but this is a fight that if he's able to win, a lot of people might be talking about Jeison Rosario again. I mean, he's got 4 losses. He's 24-4, 2 draws, but he has 18 KOs. He's just 29 years old, man. So he's not old. You know what I mean? Like, he's still got some years left if he can actually win, some fights. So it starts here, realistically with this fight. But look at this. I mean, he beat, Julian Williams, J. Rock Williams, that's when he won his titles. A lot of people didn't see him winning that fight, and he won that fight in dramatic fashion. But the guys that he's lost against, he's been in there with some big names. I mean, Jamel Charlo, I'm sorry, Erickson Lubin, Mendoza. He lost all those fights. But these are guys, I mean, obviously that were, big names, in the 154-pound division. I mean, Charlo, that was his division. And arguably people are still saying that it still is his division because he technically never lost at 154. He moved up to fight Canelo, and we all know how that worked out. But at the end of the day, he realistically didn't get beat at 154. I'm dying to see him back in action. I was hoping that we were going to see him on this card. I think it was rumored that he was supposed to be on this card against Lamana. I think Cornflake Lamana or whatever, but that ended up getting scrapped out. I believe it was for this card. If not, maybe the 10 card. I might be confusing them. But either way, man, I'm dying to see Jamel Charlo back in the ring. But, Jesus Ramos, man, he's a 23-year-old, 154-pound fighter. This is going to be his first fight at 160, man. He's 21-1 with 17 knockouts. His only loss was to Erickson Lubin by decision. But a lot of people thought he won that fight. He did beat Brian Mendoza. So there aren't as many big names. So the experience in this fight definitely goes to Jeison Rosario. But Jesus Ramos is a young guy. He's a good fighter. He's a solid fighter, man. He's one of those fighters that realistically I expect a lot more out of. I feel like at times he has the ability to put it in a second or third gear, and he kind of doesn't do that. So you're still waiting for him, to put, his game in a fight, into that third, fourth gear, man, that you feel that he has in him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he can fight, especially in the trenches. He's a guy that I've wanted Xander Zayas to fight. Like, I spoke to Xander Zayas at a boxing event, and we spoke about potential opponents, and he mentioned Jesus Ramos as, a top guy at 154. This was a while ago. This was last year. And I told him that would be a fight that I would love to see him take down the road, and he was all for it. I mean, but we'll see. Like I said, 160, 154 is a stacked division, man. You got a lot of big names at 154, but 160 is a division that's lacking that one big star name. I mean, you got some good young fighters. We spoke about that with Chop Chapar yesterday because he actually fights in the middleweight division. But other than Johnny Beck, you got Carlos Adames, who's a WBC champion. He's going to be fighting against Hamza Shiraz, on later on this month. But you got Erislandy Laros, who many people feel is on his way out. I mean, so there really isn't that big name. You got Troy Isley, obviously, who has a ton of potential, to be able to take over that division. A very, very impressive performance his last time out. He fought on that Keyshawn Davis undercard. But so this is an opportunity for Jesus Ramos to kind of put his stamp and say, you know what? Instead of 154, I'm the bigger guy. I'm obviously fighting at a bigger weight now. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to to make my name in this division that's starving for somebody to kind of take it over. So I think this fight is interesting. It's a crossroads fight for Jeison Rosario. I think it's a fight that he needs to win so that the boxing world can continue to take him serious against some bigger names down the road. But my prediction for this one is I'm gonna go Ramos on this one. I just think he's younger. He possesses a lot more skills, in my opinion, than Rosario. Rosario has a lot of dog in him, but I think that this is a type of opponent that could potentially bring out the dog in Jesus Ramos in my opinion. So I'm gonna go Ramos in this one. I think this one is gonna go to decision and more than likely be a unanimous win decision. I got Ramos winning maybe like 8 rounds to 4. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section, man. What are you guys feeling about this one, man? Are you excited to see this one as an opener? Let me know your thoughts. Counter punching Morrell might upset an over aggressive David Benavidez, but I got David. All right. So I see what you did there, Jay. I see what you did there, brother. You want everybody to believe, but meanwhile, you don't believe. Like, what kind of shit is that, bro? Like, yo, chat, talk to my man Jay Calderon on that, bro.
Bruh.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, I think this is going to be a good opening scrap. And then you got Isaac Pitbull Cruz, man. Who's 26-3, 1 draw, 18 knockouts. He's coming off a loss to Rayo Gonzalez, where he lost his title, his WBA title. But Pitbull Cruz, what can I say about him? He's an exciting fighter. People like to watch him fight, but he's very one-dimensional. He fights only one way. He only knows how to fight one way. You know what I'm saying? Guard up. He's going to throw a lot of hard and looping shots. Right hands, left hands, everything is going to be with conviction. His hands are going to be up the entire fight, and he's just going to be super aggressive, and he's just going to go after his opponent, and his goal is to try to mow him down. And, he gave Tank some good work, and that's where he realistically made a name for himself. He ended up knocking Rolly out. But that type of skill set, I picked against him again, when he fought against Rayo. I got a lot of shit for that from all my peoples out there. But then after that, they were eating crow because I just saw something. I see that if you possess those boxing skills, that you could potentially beat, Isaac Pitbull Cruz, because like I said, he's very, very one-dimensional. The problem with that is that one dimension he does very, very well. And he's very entertaining while he does it. You know what I'm saying? So people like to watch that. It's like a little mini Mexican Mike Tyson. When I first saw him, small guy, no neck, guard up, throws everything with conviction. He kind of reminded me of Tyson, but he doesn't really jab his way in, as much as he should. So this one's going to be interesting. Angel Fierro is a Mexican guy with almost a 80% knockout ratio. You know what I'm saying? He's got 23 wins, couple losses, couple draws, but 18 KOs. But he's a little different stylistically, man. He does a little bit more boxing than anything else, but he can mix it up and he can scrap too. This is an interesting fight. Because I genuinely feel like Fierro wants to make a statement. Like I said, Pitbull will come in and he'll make it known that he wants to set the tone. He wants to fight his fight, in that fight, and he's going to try to pull you into that fight. I think that he's probably going to end up pulling Fierro into that fight because he's also Mexican. And if you saw the face-off, it doesn't appear like there's any love lost between these two guys either. And Fierro doesn't appear to be intimidated either. You know what I mean? So that one's going to be interesting, man. That one is going to be really interesting. Pitbull losing, he don't belong at 140. That's a good point too. He's a short guy. He's stocky. So I think weight-wise, he'll be able to carry the weight into 140. But I realistically, I agree with you, Jay Calderon, Fight Hook News, my boy. I think that he should rock out at 135. I think that's the better division for him. But this is going to be an interesting one, man. I had a hard time with this one because I got to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Pitbull. I just, like I said, I just think what he does is basic. You know what I mean? Like I like guys that show a little bit more diversity, especially Mexican fighters. But I'm not sure, man. I'm gonna go upset in this one though. I'm gonna go against the grain, and I'm gonna go upset against this one. I'm gonna say Fierro wins this fight. If he can stay away from getting hit with clean shots in the inside, and he can mix in some of that inside game with some boxing, I think he can win this fight. I think the blueprint is out there. Like I said, I think Rayo put the blueprint out there, and I think you're gonna see more and more fighters that are gonna copy that blueprint and use it to their advantage against Pitbull. So I'm gonna go Fierro. I'm gonna go Fierro by decision. I don't think that he's gonna be able to knock Pitbull out. I mean, I realistically haven't even seen Pitbull hurt, and he took some leather against Rayo, who was the bigger guy and the taller guy. Now, Rayo's not necessarily the biggest puncher, but he took some good leather from Rayo and kind of walked through it and kept coming after Rayo. So I don't expect him to get stopped. But I don't know, man. I'm not a big believer in Pitbull, but I do like I said, I do like the fact that he's super entertaining. So I'm going upset Angel Fierro. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. We got Half Boxing. What's going on, my brother? Thanks for rocking out with me. Jose should have opened the card at least. Yeah, man. So just to give you a little bit of context here. So when I was at Pro Box during the Jose Benavidez Sr. was is the trainer of Omar Salcido, the Mexican fighter who just lost this past weekend to my man Ernesto. I'm sorry to not Tito Mercado. Tito Mercado actually beat Jose Pedraza. He lost to Andy Cruz. He lost to Andy Cruz in the co-main event this weekend. So he's trained by Jose Benavidez Sr. And as you know, Jose Benavidez Sr. used to train Rayo, and he also used to manage Rayo. So that night, when Omar Salcido was fighting against Chris Colbert, he actually beat Chris Colbert that night. After the fight, or actually during the fight, I get a tweet and a text, and someone had sent me a message that said that that Rayo was cutting ties with Jose Senior as his manager. Now, before that fight, so for the Pitbull fight, just to let everybody know, Pitbull Rayo was being trained by Robert Garcia for that fight, who actually used to train him, when he was younger, as an amateur. And I get this obviously all this information from Jose Benavidez Senior. So they had made a decision where Jose Benavidez Sr. was going to allow him to train with Robert Garcia. There was just a comfort factor there. He was okay with that, but he was still going to be Rayo's manager. So he was Rayo's manager when he won that title. Fast forward now to what happened. I don't know what happened in between, but he ended up cutting ties with Jose Sr. during that fight. So he put out that tweet, right? I am no longer going to be working with with Jose Benavidez Sr. He's not going to be my trainer. He's not going to be my manager. Mind you, and this is where it gets. This is the funny part. I interviewed Jose Sr. before that tweet, maybe about a couple of hours before Omar Salcido fought. I interviewed David Benavidez. Jose Benavidez Sr. And if you did not check out that interview, check it out at the Hangout spot. It is there. During that interview, he tells me that the David Morrell and David Benavidez fight, that was around that time when they were making it official. He said that Jose Benavidez Jr. was going to be fighting on that card. And he also said that Rayo was going to be fighting on that card as well in a rematch against Pitbull. So that was the plan. And I remember telling him, wow, that's awesome. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we get to see that rematch. We get to see Jose Jr. come back. We get to see a banging main event. So then again, I get this tweet. So after the fight, after the Chris Colbert win, I see, Jose Sr. in the locker room. They're celebrating. I pull Sr. to the side and I said, Coach, what's going on with Rayo, man? And he's looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean? I said, you don't know? I said, apparently he's not working with you anymore, man. Apparently you're not his manager anymore. And Jose Sr. looked at me like, what? I kid you not, man. I kid you not, man. So I said, you didn't know? He says, I have no idea. I have known nothing about that. So I actually showed him the tweet. And I confirmed, was this Rayo's, Twitter account? And he said, yeah. And he read it. And he just looked at me and just, wow. I didn't know where this came from. So, so to speak, he was blindsided. So he was basically fired, on Twitter while he was actually in the corner of another fighter, man. That's pretty crazy. And you're talking about a relationship that dates back years. Like he said that, Rayo used to live in his house. He used to treat Rayo like a son, like one of his sons. He used to buy him presents at Christmas, like he was one of his kids, and for that to happen on tweet instead of Rayo giving him a phone call and kind of airing it out, he was shocked. He was absolutely in shock. So I thought that was pretty weird. So that takes me back to this story, Half Boxing. Rayo was supposed to be on this card against Pitbull. And that's exactly what happened. He cut ties with Jose Sr. He went and did his own thing. So obviously they still put Pitbull on the card. And that's the life of boxing, right? It's a very, very cutthroat sport. So I thought that was pretty funny. Bones 13, what's going on, champ, man? Thanks for rocking out with us, man. Appreciate you hopping on, man. But yeah, man, I'm going Fierro on that one, which takes us to the co main event. Let's go, man. If you have not hit that like button, make sure you smash that like button, as it will help with the visibility of the channel. And if you have not subscribed or told another friend to subscribe, make sure you do that, man. This is how we do it up at the Hangout spot. We are here live and direct Thursday. We got fights on Saturday that we are talking about. The chat is cooking, so let's make sure we get some more comments out there. I need you guys to give me your takes on what's going to happen on Saturday, man. Are y'all excited? Because I'm excited, man. I'm just pumped up about Saturday, man. So I definitely want everybody else to chime in. You know what I mean? Yeah, I hear you, but Jose isn't on TV, but he's fighting. Yeah. So Jose Jr. will be on that card as well, but he's not on the main card. He's not going to be on TV, but I'm pretty sure PBC is going to air the prelims for free, more than likely on YouTube. So you'll be able to see all the prelims on YouTube. I'm almost positive they always do that, or if not, you'll be able to see it somewhere for free on on one of these streaming platforms. But yeah, he's going to be fighting on that card as well. He's going to be making his comeback. So I thought that was pretty cool. I heard Pitbull didn't want the rematch. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I can only go by what Jose Sr. said. And during that interview, he was pretty confident that it was going to be signed, sealed, and delivered until he found out hours later that he was basically terminated on Twitter, bro.
Bruh.
which is pretty work, man. That's nasty. That's nasty work, man. That's nasty work on Rayo's part. But co-main, man. Let's talk about the co-main. We got the Heartbreak Kid, Brandon Figueroa, man. You know, he's a warrior in the ring, man. He's a good-looking guy, man, but he doesn't fight like a pretty boy, man. He fights like a tough guy, phone booth style, in the center of the ring. He's the type of fighter that makes you fight his fight because he's going to smother you. He's going to be all over you. He's going to be on top of you. He's going to throw a shitload of punches. And those are the type of fighters that you got to fight off, man. You know, they're going to try to make you uncomfortable. They're going to try to just smother you and beat you with volume. And that first fight with Stephen Fulton was that. And if you know Stephen back in them days, man, when he was rocking out, man, you know what I'm saying? Like Stephen Fulton was that guy back in the days. And then all of a sudden, Inoue came calling. You know what I'm saying? He went to Japan to unified titles with Naoya Inoue, the monster. And, you know, he got rocked. You know what I'm saying? Like he got rocked. 8th round TKO. Inoue is that dude. And, you know, Stephen Fulton's been different. He's been different since then, man. And this is going to be at a higher weight class. He's 22-1, but he's never packed a big punch with 8 knockouts. He did win that first fight, but a lot of people thought that Figueroa, you know, outworked him and potentially should have won that first fight, which is why I'm shocked they didn't do a rematch immediately after that, because the public was demanding it. You know what I'm saying? This was a close fight. You know, this was a fight in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Like Stephen Fulton actually fought Figueroa's type of fight for the majority of that fight, and he was doing well. You know, he was doing well on the inside as well. Like I'm not going to sit there and say that he didn't win that fight, but it was really close, man. It was really close. I'd have to see that fight again. I remember seeing it twice, you know, afterwards. Like I saw it, you know, live, and then I think I saw it the next day or the day after. I thought Figueroa might have edged it out based on volume, and I thought he landed the better, cleaner shots in the inside. But man, it was razor thin, you know. So I wasn't mad at that decision at the time, but just like anybody else, like I wanted to see him do it again, but it never happened. It never happened, and but here we are. You know, a few years later, we're getting this fight finally. So we're not getting it when we want it. So it's almost like spoiled milk, right? You know, we're drinking it well past its due date, but this is boxing. You know, we see this far too often. The fights that we want to see today, we end up not seeing until 2 or 3 years later, right? Either way, I think it's a good fight stylistically. The first one was good. I'm hoping that this one will provide the same type of fireworks. Brandon Figueroa is a major problem. He's 25-1, 19 knockouts, so he did not let that loss affect him at all. You know, he's got wins against Jesse Magdaleno by knockout in the last round, Mark Masayo, who's a big puncher. Carlos Castro, he also stopped in the 6th round, and Carlos Castro was the guy that Stephen Fulton just fought. And I believe that was on the Berlanga Canelo undercard, if I'm not mistaken. And he won that fight by decision, by split decision. But a lot of people thought that Carlos Castro should have won that fight, but he didn't. And Stephen Fulton even got dropped in that fight. I believe he went down in the fifth round, fourth or fifth round, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, yeah, I think it was the fifth round he went down. So it wasn't the dominant performance that most people were expecting from Stephen Fulton, but he pulls it out and it gets him to this fight. Again, another fight on a big stage, platform, co-main event, and he's fighting for a title. So regardless of how he looked, he's fighting for a featherweight title. Personally, though, I think this is going to be a tough nut to crack the second time around, man. Both of these guys are two different fighters today in the year 2025 than they were when they fought the first time. So I'm going Figueroa in this fight. I don't think that there's a question. I respect Stephen Fulton. I've always liked Cool Boy Steph. He's from Philly, and I used to rep him hardcore, and I'm still a fan. But I just think that Figueroa is just the better fighter at this point in their careers. Like you've seen Figueroa again. Like I said, he wasn't really affected with the loss. Stephen Fulton, after that Inoue beatdown, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, my man Inoue put it on him in Japan. He just hasn't looked the same the last couple of fights, man. But let me know what y'all think in the chat, man. We got my man Fight Hook News, Jay Calderon, big Stephen Fulton fan. But I'm not liking his negative energy. Like he don't love boxing because of the heat he's gotten after the loss and his last performance. I think Figueroa is in a zone for the W. So that's a good point, Jay Calderon, because a lot of these boxers, and we say it all the time, you know what I'm saying? Like we are podcasters, we are content creators, we're going to be opinionated towards fighters, man. But these fighters are out there listening. And a lot of these fighters, man, they are overly sensitive to what the media is saying, to what the podcasters are saying, the people online that are shitting on performances. And yeah, I mean, if you're that type of fighter that allows that stuff to really, really irk you, yeah, it probably can mess with your psyche and it probably can turn you off. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, it could be that, but you mean if you really, really look back at Cool Boy Steph, he's always this soft spoken dude. Like I remember my boy X from Four Corners Boxing. Shout out to Four Corners Boxing, by the way. Interviewed him live, and it's almost like trying to pull teeth, to get him to talk to you. He's not a big talker. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like he's uncomfortable, being interviewed or being in a crowd. He's more of this laid back type dude that just really doesn't want the spotlight. That's how I take it. So when he does show that side of him, I'm thinking it's more of his demeanor, his personality, more than anything else. He's probably an introvert. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. I mean, it could be that. It could be that because, like I said, I mean, you go to Japan and you get your shit knocked loose like you did over there. People are gonna talk and criticize because this is just a harsh world that we live in. Like, this is the reason why fighters don't want to take a chance to be great. They don't want to take a chance when they're undefeated to go and unify against another undefeated guy, because they're scared of the backlash. I firmly believe that. I don't think they're scared of any smoke, but I think they're scared of the backlash and they're scared of what's going to be said. They're scared that they're going to lose their O, and then automatically people are going to want to throw them in the garbage. And we've seen that. You know what I'm saying? We've seen that. We've seen that all the time. When a fighter is, we're high on a fighter, and then all of a sudden he loses, whether it's by knockout or stoppage or whatever. And, bro, people want to throw them to the curb. It's just the way it is, man. I'm not even capping. You know what I'm saying? This is the way it is. So fight fans are the worst. And this is why I believe that a lot of these fighters don't want to, they don't want to dare to be great, because if they get thrown to the curb by the media, and the fans, where's the next big money fight gonna come? You know what I'm saying? Like, people are not gonna want to demand, that they fight in a big money fight. So, at the end of the day, like I said, I don't know. I don't know, Jay. That's a great point. I hope that's not it. I hope it's what I said. He's more of a quiet, laid back person. But either way, like I said, I'm just not I like Cool Boy. I just don't feel confident enough to be able to pick him against a fighter right now that I think is he's peaked. He's in his prime. He's fighting like a true champion, and he's carrying his weight. At a higher weight class now, at featherweight, man, and the styles is just crazy. If Stephen Fulton fights that same type of fight, you know, this time around, who knows? Maybe he doesn't go the distance. So I'm kind of fearful of that. So I'm picking Brandon Figueroa, and I'm going to say that he ends up stopping him as well. I think that the volume punches. I think I'm looking at more of a late round stoppage in that one, man. But anyhow, let me know your thoughts, man. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. We got my man VINYC in the building. Where are you from, Johnny Sunset Park? No, I'm from Bushwick, Brooklyn, New York, man. Born and raised in Bushwick, where Amanda Serrano is from, Edgar Berlanga. Um, Grew up running the streets in Brooklyn. But you know what's crazy? I ended up getting my license in Sunset Park. I ended up getting my license in that area. So I'm familiar with all areas out there. But nah, I'm not from Sunset Park, man. So if you think it was me, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. shout out, shout out to the chat. Like I said, if you have not smashed that like button, make sure you smash that like button. It'll help with the visibility of the channel. We got to get this channel out. We got to get this channel out to more boxing fans so they know we were rocking out every Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure you yell to everybody you know. Subscribe to the Hangout spot, man, because my man Johnny is doing it up there. 2025 is going to be a big year for us here at the Hangout spot. VINYC Bushwick. You remember Bush Babies rap group? Nah, not Bush Babies. And I was kind of into hip hop back in the days, man. Are they from Bushwick? Give me a little bit more context, man. Because remember, I'm an old guy. I don't know how old you are. Maybe it was I don't know, when I got older. When I got older, I wasn't as into hip hop, you know, um, as I was when I was younger. I was more into hip hop as a teenager. As I got older and the music started changing, I kind of went in another direction. So I'm an old school guy. So in my car, I'm still rocking 90s hip hop, 80s, Big Daddy Kane, Biggie, Tupac. I don't really listen to none of this crap that they play out there right now, man. I mean, there's some nice beats out there, and there are some songs that I do like, here and there, but I'm not really a hip hop guy today, man. I'm an old school guy. I play 80s stuff, bro. People laugh at me because they say I'm old. You got my man Brian C in the building. What's going on, my brother? Thanks for rocking out with me yesterday as well. Hardcore in the chat. I think Scooter pulls it off. He's the more skilled of the two, in my opinion. Listen, Scooter's skills can't be questioned, but we're talking about a Scooter where this is a different fighter than the fighter that fought Figueroa the first time. That I truly believe that Inouye loss, man, took a lot out of him, man. It took a lot out of him, bro. I mean, it was brutal. It was brutal, man. He got punished in that fight. A lot of people, including myself, didn't expect him to get cooked like that. And Inouye's that dude. Inoue is that guy. I got Inoue in my top 5 pound for pound. I know the other day I was arguing hardcore with Ness from the Boxing Boys. Shout out to my brother Ness and the TBV family. But on the evening show, I was going back and forth with him because he was hating on Inoue. He was hating on him. He's like, he shouldn't even be in the top 10 pound for pound list. I disagree. When you got a guy like that, I don't care what weight division, and he's blasting everybody out that you putting in front of him. I mean, he's not just beating dudes, he's cooking dudes that you put in front of him. You can't help who the opponents are in those divisions. You can't help who the champions are, right? He's cooking these dudes. Undisputed in 2 different weight classes. Do I agree that he should be moving up to 126 to challenge the bigger name? Yeah. But I mean, you can't deny how good he's been up to this point. So I do think he should be on the pound for pound list. I don't think he should be number 1. I think number 1 belongs to Usyk. Number 2, probably Crawford. But then there's an argument on who's 3, 4, and 5. If you want to put Canelo above him, I have no problem with that. But in my opinion, bro, he belongs top 5. But the pound for pound list is a subjective list, man. I tell this to everybody. If you ask 100 people who your top 10 pound for pound fighters are in order, you will get 95 different answers. I kid you not, man. You will get 95 different answers. So, the list is what it is, man, but he definitely belongs there. But, to your point, Brian C., you never know. You never know. But let's not forget who he's fighting, man. a guy who's peaked in his prime, bro. So that's something to consider. Bushwick all day, Brooklyn boys. My man Jay Calderon from Fight Hook News. That's my Bushwick brother as well. So shout out to Bushwick, man. This is how we do it up, man. This is how we do it up. VNYC. Yeah, they from Bushwick. They came out in 92. I appreciate your positive energy. God bless you, my brother. Listen, man, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I love doing this for my viewers, man. I appreciate you, man. I love what I do. But more importantly, I love doing it with my people out there, man. So definitely keep cooking, man. Keep cooking in the chat, man. We got Eddie Alvarez. Some fights break your spirit. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I think that NOA loss, man. I think that shit took a lot out of Scooter, man. Or Cool Boy Steph. I would have never. By the way, I would have never changed my name to Scooter, man. I thought Cool Boy Steph was a badass nickname. Eddie Alvarez, man, like Devin might never be the same. That's interesting because we talked about that. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, I believe, when I had my man Norbs from Norbs It All Network. Shout out to my man Norbs, man. We talked about that. This is why it's interesting to me what Devin Haney we're going to see in May. He's fighting Jose Ramirez. All right, Jose Ramirez hasn't looked good the last couple fights, but Jose Ramirez is a former champion, right? Who's always wanted to fight Devin Haney. He's made that be known. So he's going to come to fight. Devin Haney hasn't fought since that Ryan Garcia beatdown. And you wonder why. He wasn't suspended. Ryan Garcia was suspended. Meanwhile, they're both coming back with the same amount of time away after that fight. When Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia both fight, it's going to be over a year that they've been in the ring together. Ryan Garcia was suspended. Wanted to fight an exhibition fight in December, but that fell apart against that Chinese guy overseas or whatever. And I'm glad it did, man, because I think that would have been disastrous. Y'all seen that Chinese dude that Ryan Garcia was going to fight? He wasn't playing, man. He wasn't playing, man. I don't know if that would have been a good thing for Ryan or not. But Ryan hasn't fought because he's been suspended. What's Devin Haney's excuse? So I thought Devin Haney should definitely have gotten right back on the saddle after that loss, put it behind him, face a guy that wasn't a big puncher, get his confidence back, get back in the win category, and then take your career back to that next level. That level it was, before the Ryan Garcia fight. But he's undefeated now. Remember, they took the loss off his record because of Ryan Garcia's positive test for Osprey. So we'll see. You're right. This is the curiosity that I have with Devin Haney. Which Devin Haney we going to see? And I know I'm veering off, but that's a good point, Eddie Alvarez. We got Brian C up in here. I actually thought he would beat Inoue, but even after the loss, Scooter got dropped in his last fight and showed he still has a lot of fight in him by getting up and finishing strong. No, absolutely, man. I'm not kicking him to the curb at all. I like Scooter. I just don't like this matchup for him at this point in his career. That's all. I would have preferred this fight happen a couple years ago, immediately after the first one. This is a little different. Like, if you really look at career-wise where they both are, one is going this way, the other one's going that way. I'm not feeling it. But, it wouldn't surprise me, man. Listen, Brian C., I'm going to tell you one thing, man. I've been wrong before. I have been wrong before. I am not always right. So we make these predictions, with our gut, with what we think we're going to see based on what we've seen in the past. But at the end of the day, this is the beauty of boxing, man. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. I mean, chat, tell me if I'm wrong. Did anybody in the chat realistically see Ryan cooking Devin the way he did last April at Barclays Center? Because if you did, shout out to you, because I did not see that coming. I ate crow for about a week and a half. And it wasn't because I didn't think Ryan was capable of it, because Ryan's got skills, man. But Ryan went into that fight like he was crashing out. I was asking people before that fight, a month before that fight, if you want to bet me that Ryan doesn't even make it to the fight. Because I thought something was going to happen, bro. I thought he was going to crash out. I thought he was going to end up in a mental facility, some kind of rehab facility. I thought he was going to crash out to the point where weeks, maybe a week or days before the fight, they pull him out And everybody that went to see that paid to see Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney was going to see Devin Haney and Arnold Barboza. That was my prediction. So I didn't even think he was going to make it, let alone win. I had Devin Haney winning an easy unanimous decision, and look what happened. I'm telling you, man, this is boxing. This is boxing. Anything can happen. That's the beauty of the sport, man. You got my sister, Superwoman 607 in the building, Bushwick all day. You already know. I'm all late. That's what's up. Hope y'all enjoyed. Four Corners, my man X is in the building. Jose Ramirez is the right fight for Devin to return. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. And that was my thing. I wanted Devin to have a little bit of a layup. This is actually a little bit better I wanted somebody of lesser caliber for Devin in his return fight. This is actually a good fight, for Devin to take because he's going, Jose Ramirez is going to come to fight. We'll see what type of Devin Haney we see. If we see the Devin Haney before the Ryan Garcia fight, I think he cooks Ramirez. But we don't know. That's the thing. We don't know. So I think that's going to be interesting, man. I think this is going to be interesting, man. That's right, man. Smash that like button, man. You already know the deal. This is how we do it up. We got Liz Rosario with the $2 super chat. Appreciate that. Good points on Haney. Yeah, I mean, listen, it is what it is. I mean, it's facts. I mean, Eddie Alvarez said it. You don't know what Devin Haney you're going to see. Boxing is a brutal sport. These guys train their asses off, and then they go in there and they get cooked. It takes a lot out of their mental fortitude, man. It takes a lot out of their confidence. Not everybody could just put it behind them. It's always best to put it behind you. I mean, fighters are going to lose fights. That's a part of the game. But a lot of these fighters, like I said, they aren't built mentally as tough as they should be, and they let losses, affect them more than others. I always say that the Mexican fighters, man, they don't care, man. They can go in there and they can lose 3, 4, 5 fights, and they will get right back on the saddle, and they will fight the toughest guys next time out because that's just the way they built. But mentally, a lot of people ain't built that way. You know what I mean? Johnny Brooklyn t-shirt and a White Sox hat is a no-go. Yo, X, man, listen, I couldn't find my Nets hat, man. I couldn't find the Nets hat, so I had to find the next best thing to at least match. You know what I'm saying? I always been a fan of the White Sox hat. I'm not a White Sox fan. I'm actually a Yankee fan, but I'm also a guy who used to collect hats and buy different hats for different teams and wear different colors with my outfits. You already know that's how we used to do it up growing up in Bushwick. But yeah, man, I was trying to find my Nets hat and I'm flipping around. I was like, you know what? I'm about to go live in 2 minutes. So let's go with the White Sox hat. But yo, thank you for calling that out, man, and putting me on blast in front of everybody, man.
A loser.
my man. We got half boxing. Yeah, $500 back for Ryan. Yo, God bless, bro. Damn. I mean, that's a nice score, man. That's a nice score. I wish I was that smart because I'm sure there were a lot of people that were betting against Ryan, and look what happened. Look what happened, man. Haney cooking Jose, no more Sizzle Ramirez. Yeah, man. I mean, I think Ramirez's best days are behind him as well, man. I'm gonna have to agree with my man Jay Calderon, man. Imagine losing to Jose, though. That's crazy. Half boxing. Yo, that shit would be crazy. First of all, it would sabotage the rematch between Ryan Garcia. Remember, both of these guys got to win. If they win, there's a bag waiting for them in October. Turkey Al-Sheikh got that bag ready, bro. He is not playing. Turkey Al-Sheikh, he got that bag waiting for him. I mean, so they're both going to have to win. Ryan's fighting Rolly. And I can't see anybody picking Rolly in that fight. Ryan's going to cook Rolly. I don't care how long he's been out of the ring. Once Rolly gets hit with that left hook, Rolly going to sleep. And I know a lot of people are excited about it. It's a fight that's probably going to, I think it's going to be more of a fight leading up in the press conferences. If Ryan comes out as the crazy Ryan that was crashing out, against Devin Haney and those pressers, and Rolly comes out being Rolly, imagine those press conferences, man. But it won't matter because those press conferences will be fired, but Rolly's going to sleep within 3 rounds, bro. I am a firm believer of that. And anybody else who thinks Rolly's winning this fight, nasty. That is nasty, man. I don't think Rolly's winning this fight at all. I don't think Rolly has a chance at all. Wax, Rolly even put money on him. Ryan even put money on himself. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of fighters do that, and obviously he won, man. Like I said, I was eating crow for like a week and a half, man. There was a no show, no other podcast that I went on that I wasn't eating crow, for real, man. Ramirez going to train for the fight of his life. Eddie Alvarez, yeah, man, he wanted Devin Haney for a long time. So now you got him. So let's see what happens. Man. Like I said, it's going to be interesting. But let's get back to Saturday, man. We veered off, man. But this is how we do, man. My chat, man. Y'all be on fire, man. Y'all be on fire, man. But let's get right to it because we got the main event. The main event.
Let the games begin.
Much anticipated fight between two guys that were on a collision course to fight each other at 168. And now in their second fight each at 175, you got undefeated David Benavidez, the monster, the Mexican monster. I mean, 29-0, 24 knockouts, WBC interim champion against the undefeated Cuban, David Morrell, who is 11-0 with 9 KOs, and he's got a WBA portion of that interim stuff, whatever that means. I mean, I'm a true hardcore boxing fan, and for the life of me, I still don't even know what interim means. Either way, I think this fight is going to be fire. I think it's going to be a really good fight, and one main reason, there's a couple reasons why. Number one, you got two guys in their prime. I mean, Morrell's 27 years old, Benavidez is 28 years old. They were on a collision course to fight each other at 168. So this is a much anticipated fight. Stylistically, is going to be a really good matchup, and we'll talk about some strengths in a minute. But last but not least, both of these dudes want to knock each other's heads off, man, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what's going to make for a great fight, in my opinion, man. I don't think we're going to be disappointed. And they better, because they charge at $80, man, so we want our money's worth, man. For those of us that are going to pay for it, we want our money's worth. For the ones that are going to stream it on Fire Stick, y'all don't care. But at the end of the day, we want our money's worth. And I think that if I had to predict, I think we're going to get our money's worth. Because like I said, I think these two are going to fight. They're going to bring it to each other. Stylistically, you got David Benavidez, who has a ton of experience. I mean, he's definitely has the experience advantage over David Morrell. That's not even a question. He's fought the bigger names. He's beat bigger names. Alexander Vadsik, which was his first fight at 175, the last fight at 175, people were criticizing him. I don't know why, man. Vadsik was a former champion. And David Benavidez won that fight fairly easy. Now, did he knock him out? No. But I still think that was a really, really good performance. Like, I don't understand why people were crapping on him just because he didn't knock him out. People were saying, well, he's not the Mexican monster at 175. Hello? He's moving up to a new weight class. Let him fill into that weight class. And he didn't take a light fight. Like I said, this was a former champion. You know them Ukrainian dudes, man? They come, you know how good them dudes are? They don't lay down. It don't matter how old they are. They come to fight. But David Benavidez showed me a lot in that fight. Even though he didn't show me that knockout power, he showed me that blistering hand speed. At 175, I don't think there's a question that anybody has faster hands than David Benavidez at 175. There's not even a question. So he definitely has the experience. He's fought the better opposition. I mean, he's beaten Boo Boo Andrade. Broke him down. Boo Boo didn't even come out for the 6th round. Or after the 6th round, he didn't come out for the 7th. Caleb Plant. Let's not forget that one. Yeah, he didn't knock Caleb Plant out. But he could have. He should have. I mean, Caleb Plant was boxing well in the first half of that fight. And David Benavidez just kept coming forward, blistering him, with with inside power punch. He broke down Caleb Plant, who's one of my favorite fighters. Much respect to Caleb Plant, man. But David Benavidez did his thing. I mean, he's beating guys like David Lemieux, Kyron Davis, who just beat Elijah Garcia, up and coming prospect or contender who will be fighting at the Caribbean Royale, I believe, in, I want to say, March. So shout out to Elijah Garcia. He's going to be headlining a card at Caribbean Royale, co-promoted by my family, Box Lab Promotion. Shout out to Box Lab. Anthony Durrell. So experience, obviously, that goes to David Benavidez. Morrell has not fought anybody near that caliber of opponent. And his last fight, which was his first fight at 175, which was against Hot Rod Kalisic. I hope I'm not chopping up his last name. I probably am. Hot Rod. We'll just call him Hot Rod. David Morrell wins that fight by decision, but a lot of people were saying that was a lot closer than they thought it should be. There was some people that thought Hot Rod won. I thought David Morrell won that fight, but it wasn't an overwhelming fashion. It was a close fight. It was a close fight. And, David Morrell has always possessed a really strong left hand. He's a powerful kid. I wouldn't say he's a one-punch knockout artist, but he's strong. He can box. He has an extensive amateur Cuban background. And we know these Cubans, man, they can box. They are polished amateurs, man. And they usually get a lot of work in the amateurs. He's only 11 fights in. He got 9 knockouts, but he's more of I wouldn't consider him a one-punch knockout guy. He's a twitchy guy. He has a good, strong, straight left. He throws really hard uppercuts. He's definitely going to have a reach advantage over David Benavidez. So this one's going to be interesting. But again, experience matters in boxing. David Benavidez has the hand speed, and he's a volume puncher. But his style is walking guys down. He's more than likely probably going to give up the first couple rounds. And then that's when he's probably going to start to cook, in my opinion. And like I said, he has to beat David Benavidez. What David Morrell has to do is not get drawn into a firefight. And again, this is where the composure the composure thing. This is where we talk about the whole composure thing. Like Eddie Alvarez said earlier in the chat. Yeah, they hate each other, but they got to throw that out the window, and they can't fight with that type of rage. It's got to be composed. David Benavidez got to stay composed, because today, during that press conference and after, when he was being interviewed by the media, he looked like he was kind of like ticked off, like he was ready to like knock somebody's head off. And that's fine, but make sure you come in to the ring with controlled aggression, because this is a fight. And, fights are won here, not with rage. That's where you make mistakes. That's where you get careless. And he's going to have to be able to cut off the ring, because I think Morrell's going to do some moving. Morrell can't get caught up into that type of firefight. He's got to move. He's got to use his footwork. He's got to slip and counter. But the problem with slipping and counter is you're not seeing one punch come at you at a time, or 2 punches. David Benavidez is the type of fighter that'll throw 5, 6, 7, 8 punch combinations, and they come fast. Did y'all see David's pad work this week in the media workout? Yo, that was crazy, man. It was like a welterweight, like a lightweight. It's crazy for a guy that big to to have that type of blistering hand speed. But either way, David Benavidez is going to come in with that hard jab, and he's going to try to walk Morrell down. Probably. That's what he's done to his last. To his previous opponents. Now, again, David Morrell's a big guy, so it may not be that easy, but I still think that David Morrell should rely more on his boxing ability than to get into a firefight. So if he does that, David Benavidez is going to have to cut off the ring. And he's going to have to let his hands go. And I think it's key that when David Benavidez goes to the body with those hard, lefts to the body, those Mexican lefts to the body that he does, man. He's going to have to do that, man, to slow down Morrell if Morrell decides to move around a lot. He's going to have to get David Benavidez' respect, too. Because like I said, David Benavidez is the type that's going to walk guys down. He's going to break you down. He wants to break your will. And even if he doesn't stop you, he wants to beat you up. He's the type of fighter that fights to beat people up, his style, which is entertaining, which is why we've wanted to see it against Canelo. But don't get me started on that, man. Don't get me started on that, because we'll be here all night on that Canelo David Benavidez duck. But this one's going to be an interesting fight. This one's gonna be an interesting fight, man. What y'all thinking about in the chat, man? What y'all thinking about in the chat before I give my prediction? Fight Hook News. If Rolly upsets Ryan and Haney wins against Ramirez, I'll be tight, but Tone will get the matchup. You ain't lying, man. You ain't lying. Truth Tone has been screaming for that Haney Rolly fight for a long time, and for the life of me, I must have told him about 20 different times, like, why? I don't want to see it. But you're right. You're right, man. We got my man Zoro de la Vega, $2 salute. The $2 super chat. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate we rocking out. Appreciate the support, man. It means a lot to me. It really does. It means a lot to me, man. The Cash App is open. The Cash App is open. Like I said before, my heart says Morrell, but my brain says Benavidez. We'll come back to that. One David eating humble pie for dinner. Saturday, which one? Gonna be interesting. First fight, Zoro de la Vega. First fight at 175 was a former lineal champion. Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. People criticize David's last performance, bro. He fought a former champion. Ukrainian dude. These dudes are tough. I mean, and I thought he did well. I thought he didn't. I mean, was there? This is my question to people when they criticize a fighter's performance. If you can look at it and realistically say, did he lose more than 8 rounds? I mean, I'm sorry, did he lose more than 4 rounds in that fight? Because I didn't see David losing more than 4 rounds in that fight. Meaning he won that fight 8-4. That's a pretty, I wouldn't say a dominant performance, because a dominant performance is either a shutout or 11-1 or 10-2. But it's a damn good performance. It's a performance that people shouldn't question whether you won or lost. You did what you needed to do to win the fight. And that's what I thought happened. And he was a medalist, absolutely, man. He wasn't no slouch. Who looked better at 175 half boxing? Definitely David Benavidez, in my opinion. I was going to say David. Which David? Definitely Benavidez, for sure. Again, Hot Rod won that fight. It was very, very close. There were a lot of flaws that I saw. I did see that left hand was being telegraphed a lot. And that's a problem. That's a problem. But he did what he needed to do. He won that fight in close fashion. I just don't think it was as impressive as most people, including myself, was expecting. But again, that's a totally different fight. Johnny, you in Florida? Yeah, I'm in Florida. I'm in Central Florida. Winter Haven is in the building. And finally, we getting some warm weather, man, because it's gotten chilly the last few weeks. And I'm not built for that cold weather anymore, man. Yes, I'm a Northeast guy, born and raised in Bushwick in New York. I lived in Pennsylvania for years. I owned a snowblower. So I did all that. But I've been in Florida for 4 years now, and I've definitely, my body has adjusted to the heat out here. I do not like cold. I can't do it anymore. So, yeah. I wasn't digging it when we were getting into the low 30s in the middle of the night. I'm like, yo, what the hell is going on here, man? We need some 75-degree weather. So this week is actually starting to get warm again. So I'm excited about that. Plant is, we got my man Wax. Plant is a cool bloke. Met him at Caribbean in October for the Bertatalia versus Zuavet. Yeah, absolutely, Wax. I was there. Remember, I was working media, and I chopped it up with Caleb Plant. We talked for a minute, and he made it clear that he definitely wants that Belonga smoke. He definitely wants to fight Edgar Belonga, my guy Edgar Belonga. Shout out to Edgar Belonga. He's out here training in Tampa, Pro Box facility with my man Mark Ferre, trainer Mark Ferre. I'm going to try to hook up with him, but he's out here in Florida. Did you see Un Round Mas with Morrell? No, I think I know what you're talking about, half boxing. I got that on the docket to watch tomorrow. Because you see, I save all of that stuff for like the night before. Because then I want to watch all that stuff and I just want to get hyped up and into the moment. And yeah, I like to save all that stuff to like literally like either 48 or 24 hours before the fight, man. So I'm definitely going to check it out, man. I heard it was dope. It was dope, man. Elijah Garcia fight has been moved to Las Vegas. No, get out of here. I didn't know that. Sebastian Fedor undercard, no Orlando PBC show. Damn, yo, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. I thought that was locked and loaded for Caribbean, man. I got to get with my Box Lab people. So that one's going to Vegas. All right. That's cool. I mean, Caribbe's still going to rock out. I'm sure they're going to have some fights there. They're going to start getting the schedule going shortly. I got the inside scoop on that. So once we know more, we will report. Them was sissy punches. You talk about Morrell against Hot Rod, Eddie? I don't know, man. Again, he's going to have to punch a lot. His left hand can't be telegraphed against David Benavidez. I'll tell you that much. We got Quinn DQ in the building. What's going on, man? I can see Morrell mismanaging his energy and gassing out by 8th or 9th round. Hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought. We got my man Wax. I think the Benavidez by decision. Okay. Quinn DQ. You got Morrell winning this fight. I can see Morrell. Okay, we did that one already. Okay, I'm in South Florida, Palm Beach. All right. So you get a little bit better weather than we have here in the central part of Florida. I'm in Winter Haven, so I'm a few hours away from you, man. Hopefully one day maybe we can catch up, man, at a fight. I do mostly all the fight cards all over Florida, man. But there's not really much stuff going on in South Florida, man. I'm disappointed. I expected more fights to be going down in Miami, man. It seems like Orlando's the hot spot, man. Caribbean Royale is my home. I'm there like every month for a fight, whether it's a main card or a prospect card. I mean, Caribbean Royale is rocking. Shout out to Caribbean Royale and my people at Box Lab and Undisputed Promotions. Yeah, Ammo Williams took that date at Caribbean. So yes, that'll be the next. I believe that's going to be the next fight at Caribbean that I will be on hand. Yours truly will be live and direct at the Caribbean. One good blizzard and you'll be okay. Nah, I'm good. Y'all can have that. I am good. David and 10. Nice answer for my boy Hearn. Too bad he didn't say which David. So that is a typical Hearn answer. A cop-out answer. Which David, man? Is it Benavidez or Morrell? No. Hello, I just misspelling. All right. I got you. Yep. Wax, you already know how we do it up, man. Caribbean is where it's at, man. It's my home. It's my home away from home. My prediction. So at the end of the day, like you said, Quinn DQ, I think that the pressure, I think that Morrell's gonna cook early, the first couple rounds. Because Benavidez is a slow starter anyway. But I think he's going to continue to come forward. And I think that that's going to exert a lot of energy from Morrell. And I think that he is going to gas out in the later rounds, 8 or 9. And if you know David Benavidez, you've seen him fight, that's when he gets strongest. Like David Benavidez is definitely a second half fighter. He's built for that. He gets stronger. Look at what he did to Caleb Plant in the second half of that fight against a superior boxer. Caleb Plant is my guy. He's a superior boxer. And he looked like the much fresher guy throwing the harder shots in the second half of that fight. And I see that happening in this fight as well. I think David Benavidez is gonna break him down. Like I said, he'll give up the first few rounds, the first early rounds, and then he's gonna start to cook. Walking him down, he's gonna let his hands go. Hopefully he's gonna go to the body. David Benavidez is not a big one-punch knockout guy either, but he'll beat you with those. Speed generates power. And when you have 4 or 5 different punches coming with that speed at that weight, it's going to generate some power. So he's more of an accumulative knockout. He'll beat you down, like I said earlier. And I love that style. I really do. It's super entertaining. So my prediction is I'm going with David Benavidez by late round stoppage, man, for real. That's my prediction. Again, I don't know if I'm going to be right, but that is my story and I'm sticking to it. I'm picking around 9 or 10 as well. Maybe 11. I'm not sure. We'll see, but I would say between 8 and 10. I think David Benavidez takes him out. But again, to the chat, don't be surprised if I'm wrong, man. I've been wrong before, and it's all right, man. I'm all right with being wrong because at the end of the day, this is boxing. I just want to be entertained. I want to see a great fight. It's not like I hate either guy. I like Morrell. There aren't many boxers that I hate. I respect all boxers. I love boxing. This is my passion. So I like Morrell, but I'm a Benavidez guy. I mean, Jose Senior is my guy. He shows me love. I've interviewed him in the past. In fact, I'm going to try to get him back up in here on the live at some point after this fight. Hopefully it'll be after David Benavidez win. It's always easy to get the trainers or the fighters on for an interview after a win than it is a loss, man, for real. As you would expect after a loss, they don't want to talk to anybody. But if David Benavidez cooks, I'm going to try to get Jose Sr. on, man. Like I say, he's my guy, shows me love. I hit him up, all the time. He gives me the inside scoop on certain things. Like I knew about this Morrell thing a while ago that it was brewing. But obviously, out of respect, we can't be talking about stuff like that, but or letting the cat out of the bag at least. But yeah, man, I'm going with David Benavidez, man, by late round stoppage. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, man. All right, finally. Okay, David Benavidez. So you got David Benavidez in 10. All right, cool. So I got him between 8 and 10 as well, which is kind of weird because me and this cat never really agree. David Morrell. David Morrell. Nah, I don't got David Morrell. Somebody else might have David Morrell. Let me know who y'all got, though. Like, I got some predictions in here, but I ain't got everybody's. But at the end of the day, what we're hoping for is just a good scrap, a good card from top to bottom, man. I love boxing on Saturday nights, these big cards, man. Not just because of this whole thing. This is what I do now, right? So I'm invested. I got to do this. This is my business. But at the end of the day, I just love it. It's like, it's enjoyable. I love boxing. Like I can see boxing every single day, which is why, I wait usually 24 to 48 hours to start watching all these build-up, all these 24/7s and, all these shows that they do, when they talk to both fighters in their training camps, man. That just gets me hyped up and get ready for Saturday. So I will be ready for Saturday. And then Sunday, man, we got a treat, man. Flint, Michigan, man. It's going down. We got the GOAT, Claressa Shields, man. I gotta bring that up because, at the end of the day, we gotta show the females love, man. We gotta show the females love because the females are doing it up just like the men are doing it up. They're not afraid to go out there and put it all out on the line and unify. And this is another prime example, man. You got the GOAT, Claressa Shields, undefeated, 11-0. Coming off a stoppage in her last fight. She's going up against undefeated Danielle Perkins. And this one is for unify. They're going to unify belts in the heavyweight division. So this one is going to be a good one too, man. Because like I said, Claressa, she calls herself the GOAT. People can debate that. To me, that's more of a debatable subject because when it comes to females, man, I think there's multiple GOATs. I really do. Like you guys, hopefully you guys were on live or you saw my interview last week with the great legendary Christy Martin, who was an original pioneer. When she was boxing back in the 90s, she was on Mike Tyson undercards, on Julio Cesar Chavez undercards, fighting for Don King. But realistically, as entertaining as she was, female boxing was more of a gimmick. She was one of the original pioneers that put women's boxing on the map. And now look where it is today. You got women headlining fights at the Garden and selling out the Garden. Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor sold out the Garden, the big room, not the Hulu, not the small room. They sold out the Garden. You got Sandy Ryan against Michaela Mayer at the Garden main event. That one was at the small room. But my brothers, all the people that I knew out there, Four Corners, all my people that were out there, said that fight was lit. And they're doing it again, this time in Vegas. They're going to be headlining a card March 29th in Vegas, the rematch, Sandy Ryan, Michaela Mayer, part 2. That's a fight that was great the first time out. Most people were calling that a fight of the year candidate. Michaela Mayer wins that fight by decision. But this one is the rematch. And then you got my boy, Brian Norman Jr., the WBO welterweight champion. He'll be on that card in the co-main event, defending against Puerto Rico's Derek Cuevas. Much anticipated fight that was supposed to take place in 2024. Brian Norman Jr. had a hand injury, had to pull out, and now here we go. But if my man Brian Norman Jr. pulls that one out, and Boots pulls it out against Stanionis, Boots Ennis, we're talking about a much anticipated fight to unify, regardless. So 2025 is going to be, 2025 is going to be lit. And it's already starting, man. This fight Saturday is going to set off, in my opinion, a year that's going to be memorable. Definitely better than 2024. And then Sunday, We got the females doing it up. Like I said, this is for a unified heavyweight champion in the women's division. You got Claressa Shields, the GOAT, against Danielle Perkins. Heavyweight titles on the line. The females are not afraid to put it all out on the line. And on that card as well, I just want to shout out my man Brandon Moore, OJ Bam, Winter Haven Boxing's very own heavyweight, young heavyweight from Lakeland, Florida, Polk County in the house. That is where I'm from, and that's where I live. Right now, he will be fighting on that card as well. He is 16-1. His one loss was his last fight against Richard Torres. A big step up in class for him. He's 16-1 with 10 knockouts. This is his comeback. Oh, actually, he had a couple of other fights. I'm sorry. Lower scale fights. So this is actually his third fight. My mistake. 16-1, 10 knockouts. If you look at his box rec, there's actually 2 other fights. So I just want to make sure I correct that. But this one, he's going up against an undefeated heavyweight, Skylar Lacey. 8-0, 2 draws with 6 knockouts. So definitely I will be tuned into that because, again, OJ Bam, my guy from Winter Haven Boxing. Shout out to Coach Marco Fazzini, who owns Winter Haven Boxing. That is literally like 10 minutes from my house. He allows me to come up in there anytime I want. I've interviewed a couple of his young fighters. He got a good stable of young fighters. So he lets me go up in there, get a little bit of video. So shout out to Winter Haven Boxing and OJ Bam. He's going to be fighting on that card as well. So I mean, we got a good weekend. We got a good weekend of boxing, man. I'm excited about it. Hopefully you guys will be just excited. Quinn DQ, I was just watching the Plant David fight. The way he just took over in the second part of the fight was scary. No loss of energy or punch output, just took over. That's who David Benavidez is, man. He trains for that. They don't call him the monster, the Mexican monster for nothing. That's a nickname that Mike Tyson gave him. I don't know if he's going with the Mexican monster anymore because they kept saying in the press conference it was the monster, el monstruo. So maybe he's cutting that off. We do know that his mom is half Ecuadorian and half Dominican, I believe. But his father is Mexican. So I don't know if maybe he's just doing that because of that, out of respect for his mom, for her heritage as well. I did hear something like that in the past. But either way, it's a fitting nickname, man. He's the monster. And that's exactly how he fights. That's why Canelo Alvarez don't want that smoke. That's right. I said it. Canelo, where you at? We need this fight. Unfortunately, I think that that ship has sailed because the Benavidez's, Jose Sr. has made it clear to me through conversation that they've moved on. They're tired of chasing Canelo. They've been chasing him for 2 years. David Benavidez was the number 1 contender for the WBC 168-pound title for a year and a half. Mandatory. Canelo ain't want that smoke. But Canelo fans will say, well, Canelo is, he's the face of boxing. So, at this point, with his resume, he can pick and choose and fight anybody he wants. He can pull a Floyd Mayweather. Nah, bro. That's nasty work to me. I don't think that should exist in boxing. I don't enable fighters. Yeah, it's all right to be a fan. But my thing is, if you wanna pick and choose your opponents, then give up the straps. Don't keep the straps hostage because your job as a unified champion is to face the top contenders. That's your job. If not, give up the belts and let somebody else fight for him. David Benavidez shouldn't be asking for a fight. He's earned that right, being the number 1 contender. Never got that fight. Had to move up for other challengers. And shout out to him. Like I said, you can't sit around and wait for that girl to, that you keep wanting to date and you keep calling and she keeps giving you the, she doesn't pick up your phone calls or answer your text messages. After a while, you got to move on. Maybe she doesn't want to date you. You got to move on. And that's what he did. So shout out to him. But that's still a fight that I know deep down inside, if he's offered, he will take because he's always wanted that fight. But I just don't think it will happen because I don't think it's a good idea for David Benavidez to move back down to 168 after he's comfortable now at 175 because Canelo's going to make a move down because he's a diva. I used to love Canelo, man, but I'm not really happy with the way he's moving, man. And again, that might be not a popular opinion with most people. I get it. Maybe there are people that think that he's earned his right to do that. I'm just not one of them. You want to do that with your last fight right before retirement? I totally get it. You've earned that right. But if you are still fighting in your prime, prize fighting, you're a champion, unified, you got to fight the top contenders. That's it. Sorry, man. I'm not afraid to hold my favorite fighters accountable. That's just who I am, man. Eddie Alvarez, all Latino fighters will be glad to come on for the exposure. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, brother. We are working on that. 2025 is going to be big here at the Hangout spot, man. So make sure y'all continue to stay aboard. I believe they are making a film about her life. Yes, Kate. We talked about that. If you're talking about Christy Martin, yes, I had her on. Make sure you check it out. If you have not checked out that interview, it's on my YouTube channel, The Hangout Spot. It was last week, I believe. They're making a movie about her life. Supposedly, she said it might be coming out in late 2025. So later on this year, it's going to be coming out. I can't wait. Her story is absolutely amazing. Not only was she an original trailblazer of women's boxing, she's a Hall of Famer. She's a promoter now. And she survived a near-death experience. Her husband basically almost killed her, stabbed her 4 times, shot her. And she was out of the hospital in 10 days, and she fought 2 more times before she called it a career. That's crazy. That is crazy, man. That's why I always admire her. And she's a great person. I live in Michigan, dangerous to go to a fight in Flint and in the gym. And then in the gym, why? Well, I don't know. I mean, I've never been to Flint, but I've been to Detroit. One time for work, man, and I wasn't. It was a bit crazy. It was a bit crazy, man. What you got? Benavidez by decision, but if Morrell is that dude under the lights, that David Benavidez will be exposed, and the Canelo fans will go crazy with "I told you so." Well, listen, man. Anything can happen. Again, David Morrell is a skilled guy, Cuban fighter. He's undefeated. He has shown a lot of flashes in the past of being explosive. I just can't buy in with the type of experience that he's had, man. There's really not been any big names or anybody that I can say is even close to a David Benavidez. But when you look at David Benavidez, I mean, the resume just speaks volumes. I can't see it, Jay Calderon, but again, this is boxing, man. Anything can happen. David Benavidez has fought at this level already against top competition. This would be a first for Morrell. I'd be very, very shocked if he goes out there and does the opposite of what I say he does that to Benavidez, man. I don't see it, but anything can happen. If David can beat Bivol, then better be he will go down as a legend regardless of Canelo fight ever happening. Absolutely, man. There's legacy fights for him there. If he wins this fight, he wants the Bivol better be winner. I've been told that. Now, whether that happens or not, who knows? I can't wait for that fight. I can't wait till that gets close so we can preview that one together. But he wants that fight. But he's also said that if he doesn't get that fight, potentially, because the politics of boxing is kind of crazy, he'd be willing to move up to cruiserweight to fight Zurdo Ramirez. I kid you not, man. He has said that. He has said that on the Boxing Voice. So we'll see, man. There's plenty, like I said, man. Instead of chasing the same female that doesn't want any part of you, then go get another female. Go get a better female. If I could use that as an analogy, you know what I mean? MZ3 is in the building. What's going on, champ? Why are you lying? Benavidez asked for a 2-week extension and decided to move on. Yeah, about a year and a half after he was a mandatory, bro. He had already moved up to 178. Why weren't they coming up with that whole 2-week extension stuff or whatever, or mandating when he was already there? When he was already there. I asked Jose Sr. about that. And he said, he was like, dude, we were ready at 175. Like, why would we go down now? Where was that when we were at 168? Where was that energy? Like, people forget that this fight should have happened 2 years ago. 2 years ago. So at that point, 175 for what? And then what happens? They say, you know how these sanctioning bodies are. And I'm not making any excuses, but what if he says, all right, yeah, I'm gonna exercise my right. And then all of a sudden the negotiations crumble. What happens then? I mean, so I get what you're saying, MZ3. I get that. I was a little disappointed at that too, because I'm like, well, hey, now's your opportunity, right? But he had already moved up. And my thing was, like I said, he he was about to move. Yeah, he already announced that he was moving up to 175. Listen, here's my comeback with that. How long was David Benavidez the number one contender for the WBC title? How long had he been calling Canelo out? Because if I'm not mistaken, David Benavidez, after every one of his wins, probably his last 4 wins at 168, after every single one of those wins, he was calling Canelo out after those fights, after every single one of them. How many times was Canelo calling David Benavidez out after any of his wins at 168? How many times was he even entertaining those conversations? Because it looked like when people were talking about David Benavidez, it used to irk him. And again, Canelo's like, well, I'm not giving him that fight because he's been disrespectful and, and calling me out and calling me a pussy, excuse my French. Okay, like, what do you want David Benavidez to do? Just call you on your phone? Hello, Mr. Alvarez. How are you, sir? I admire you. Can I please get a fight that I deserve to get at 168, please? You're a legend and I marvel in your grace. But can I please get a title shot? Is that what Canelo wants? Somebody to call him and be the... Come on, this is boxing, bro. How many other fighters call out fighters? This is what fighters try to do to get other fighters in the ring, man. And again, my take on that is that he shouldn't have to call Canelo. The sanctioning body should have did that months and months and months. They should have did that a year and a half when David Benavidez was beating people at 168, and after every fight, he was like, I want Canelo next. That's my take on it. Like I said, man, we're not always going to agree. We can agree to disagree. RJ Fernandez, what's going on, my boxing boys, brother? Canelo ducking David. Absolutely, man. I don't see keep the great show, gotta cut out. I appreciate you for rocking out with me, Quinn DQ. Yeah, we about to wrap it up, man, because we've been here for a minute. But I gotta give my chat an opportunity. That's right, man. I think Canelo is definitely ducking David Benavidez. And I usually don't say that often because I don't think that they're afraid of I don't think Canelo's afraid of him, but for some reason, he just don't want any of that smoke. He says that David Benavidez in one of the interviews he's big. He's too big. I mean, he's a big guy. Well, hello, you fought at light heavyweight. You fought Dmitry Bivol, who was 175. You fought Sergey Kovalev at that division. Like, I don't understand. He's not asking to fight you at 175. He was going to fight you at 168. That's your division, Canelo. I interviewed Paulie Malignaggi a while back at Pro Box, and Paulie Malignaggi said during that interview that that's the biggest duck in boxing history because Paulie don't hold back. And I don't know, man. To me, it's up there. It's definitely in the top 5 in my opinion. But like I said, we ain't always gonna agree. We ain't always gonna agree. We can always disagree to disagree. But that's the good thing about boxing and having these debates and these chats. And I love each and every one of y'all for rocking out with me. RJ Fernandez, he taking the easy money, absolutely, man. And his fans are enabling it. He's deserved that right. Nah, bro. You the unified champion, man. Face the guys that you're supposed to face, bro. You're going to make that bag against David Benavidez because people want to see it. Instead, we're going to see a Crawford-Canelo fight, which is not a bad consolation prize, but let's not forget, as good as Crawford is, he's jumping up 2 weight classes to fight arguably the face of boxing at 168, man. I don't like it. But again, if that's the consolation prize we get, I'm all for it. I respect Bud Crawford though and his skill level, so you never know what happens in that fight. But anyhow, man, listen, this was dope. This was dope. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for rocking out with me. This Saturday is going to be fire. Now, next week, we're not going to do a Tuesday show. Instead, we're going to switch it to Monday because I want to recap the fights over the weekend on Monday, and I got a special guest that's going to jump on and recap the fights with me. It is 175-pound contender Anthony Sims Jr., Black Sugar Sims, the magician, will be in the building with me. And he will be breaking down the fights with me. I thought it was only fitting. Number one, Sims is my guy. You know what I'm saying? I love chopping it up with him. I love his perspective on fights. And at the end of the day, this is in his division. So he's going to have a lot to say. I love the way he breaks down fights. And we're going to break down that fight. We're going to break down the card together. Sims is an awesome guy. As you know, he is also the cousin of Floyd Mayweather Jr. He's looking for a fight. And to be busy and get back into the ring. He hasn't been in the ring for quite a long time, but he's looking to get into the mix, man. He's looking to get into the mix again. into the title mix at 175. So Black Sugar Sims, the magician, Anthony Sims Jr. will be in the building with me Monday, 9 p.m. We will be here live and direct to break down all the fights over the weekend. So make sure you mark your calendars. And at the end of the day, if you have not hit that like button, hit that like button. We got Half Boxing. I appreciate you rocking out with me. We got Fight Hook News, Canelo ducking for money, not fear. He's holding this David Benavidez fight for he's on that Mayweather Pacquiao blueprint. Give him that bag and watch Canelo serve up for David for another win at 168. Yeah, man. It's he's trying to follow that Mayweather blueprint, but at the end of the day, there's only one Mayweather, man, whether you like it or not. Having Richard Coleman on before his February 23rd fight will be fire. Wax, you know what's funny? We're working on that. We're working on that. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure my viewers stay tuned. We're trying to get former world champion Richard Coleman on a live. But like I said, next week, instead of Tuesday, we're rocking out Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anthony Sims Jr., light heavyweight contender, will be in the building helping me break down the fights from over the weekend. So make sure you set your calendars, man, and you hit those notifications and subscribe to the Hangout spot, man. This is how we do it up in 2025. But anyhow, I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you for rocking out with me today. As always, this is your boy Johnny signing out from the Hangout spot live, and I'll talk to all of y'all over the weekends. Enjoy the fights.